In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by noise. Noise from our devices, our environments, our responsibilities, and our own minds. We live in an age where silence has become a rare luxury, something we struggle to find amidst the cacophony of daily life. Yet, as ancient philosophers have often reminded us, silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is a powerful tool for self-mastery, clarity, and wisdom. In this speech, I will explore the first 5 principles of cultivating silence as viewed through the lens of great thinkers, and how these ideas can help us navigate the challenges of modern life. The first principle is mindful breathing, a technique that helps us stay grounded and silent in moments of chaos. In the face of today's fast-paced environment, where we are constantly rushing from one task to the next, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Our thoughts race, our hearts pound, and our minds fill with noise. But the simple act of focusing on our breath can bring us back to the present moment. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This retreat starts with the breath. When we pay attention to our breathing, we create a space of inner silence, where the chatter of the external world loses its grip on us. In today's life, where multitasking is glorified, and stress is seen as an inevitable part of success, mindful breathing reminds us that peace is available at any moment, if only we pause and take a breath. Modern life often disconnects us from this simple practice. We're glued to our phones, constantly stimulated, and rarely take time to just breathe. But by reclaiming the practice of mindful breathing, we not only silence the external noise, we also quiet the internal dialogue that keeps us anxious, restless, and distracted. The second principle is to avoid reacting immediately. In today's world, where we are bombarded with notifications, opinions, and provocations, the impulse to react is strong. Social media encourages instantaneous responses, often fueled by emotion rather than reason. But great philosophers like Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. When we react impulsively, we surrender our peace of mind to external circumstances. Epictetus reminds us that our reactions are within our control, and it is in our power to choose silence over reaction. In a world filled with outrage and quick judgments, this advice is more relevant than ever. Take a moment to reflect on how many times we regret speaking too soon, saying things we don't mean, or letting emotions dictate our words. By learning to delay our responses, to sit with our thoughts in silence before we speak, we reclaim control over our lives. Silence, in this case, is not passive. It is an active choice that allows us to rise above the noise of the moment and respond from a place of wisdom and clarity. The third principle is active listening. Listening is not just waiting for your turn to speak. It is about truly understanding the other person's words, emotions, and perspective. The philosopher Socrates believed that true wisdom comes from knowing that we know nothing. In other words, wisdom begins with the recognition that we have much to learn from others. In today's world, where debates quickly turn into shouting matches and conversations often become monologues, active listening is a revolutionary act. It requires us to be silent, not just externally, but internally as well. We must silence our urge to formulate a response while the other person is speaking. We must silence the noise of our own ego that insists on being right. By practicing active listening, we become more compassionate and empathetic, qualities that are sorely needed in today's divided world. We also grow wiser as we open ourselves to perspectives we might not have considered otherwise. As Buddha once said, "If your mouth is open, you're not learning." Let us, then, embrace the silence of listening as a pathway to deeper understanding and connection. The fourth principle is using nonverbal communication. Silence, as the great Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu observed, is not just about not speaking, it's about communicating in other ways. He said, "Silence is a source of great strength." In today's world, where communication is often reduced to text messages and quick replies, we've lost touch with the power of nonverbal cues. Body language, eye contact, and simple gestures can often convey more than words ever could. Consider the weight of a comforting touch on the shoulder, or the calm reassurance of a genuine smile. In situations of tension or conflict, nonverbal communication can diffuse emotions in a way that words may only escalate. Moreover, in today's highly digital world, where we often interact through screens, our nonverbal signals have diminished. This creates a barrier to true connection. By becoming more attuned to the nonverbal ways we communicate, we can foster deeper relationships and build trust in a world where meaningful human connection is increasingly rare. The fifth principle is to be comfortable with pauses. In conversations, there's often an unspoken pressure to keep talking, to fill every moment with words. But as Confucius taught, silence is a true friend who never betrays. Pauses in conversation are not awkward moments to be feared. They are opportunities for reflection. In today's society, where we are conditioned to think that silence is uncomfortable or even a sign of weakness, we've lost the ability to embrace pauses. But in those pauses, in the spaces between words, lies clarity. When we allow silence to be part of our conversations, we give ourselves and others time to think more deeply. We move away from the need for instant gratification in speech and toward more meaningful dialogue. Pauses also allow us to break free from the pressure of constant productivity. Today, we often measure our worth by how much we can do, say, or achieve in the shortest amount of time. But true wisdom teaches us that there is value in stillness and in waiting. By embracing pauses, we cultivate patience, a virtue that is sorely lacking in today's fast-paced world. So, in conclusion, for all five concepts, the noise of modern life can easily drown out our inner peace and wisdom. But by embracing these principles, mindful breathing, avoiding impulsive reactions, active listening, nonverbal communication, and the comfort of pauses, we can find silence amidst the chaos. As the great philosophers have shown us, silence is not weakness. It is strength. It is not an escape from the world, but a way to engage with it more thoughtfully and wisely. So, I urge you to cultivate silence in your life, not just for your own peace of mind, but for the betterment of those around you, and for a world that desperately needs more thoughtful voices, more understanding ears, and more moments of quiet reflection. We now continue our exploration of silence and its profound power in helping us navigate the noise and challenges of modern life. In the previous part of this speech, we touched on mindful breathing, avoiding impulsive reactions, active listening, nonverbal communication, and the beauty of pauses. As we dive into the next five principles, we will further uncover how silence not only fosters wisdom, but also strengthens our ability to meet the demands of today's world. The sixth principle is to limit distractions. In a world where technology constantly fights for our attention, silence often feels out of reach. We live in an age of notifications, apps, and alerts, all designed to keep us engaged. Yet, paradoxically, they leave us disconnected from ourselves. Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher, famously said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." This inability is even more pronounced today as distractions abound, robbing us of silence and the focus we need to thrive. In ancient times, philosophers like Seneca emphasized the importance of focusing on the present and cultivating mindfulness. They understood that distractions dilute our ability to think deeply and live fully. Today, this challenge is even more acute. Every ping from our phone pulls us away from the present, scattering our attention and adding to the noise of our lives. By intentionally limiting distractions, turning off unnecessary notifications, setting boundaries with our devices, and creating quiet spaces for ourselves, we reclaim our power to live mindfully. In silence, we can hear the thoughts that truly matter. We find clarity in a world that often encourages superficiality. The seventh principle is to take breaks from social media. Social media, while a powerful tool for connection, has also become a source of constant noise. It amplifies the voices of millions, often encouraging comparison, anxiety, and a need for external validation. The philosopher Aristotle spoke of moderation in all things, recognizing that excess leads to imbalance. This wisdom holds true for our digital lives. When we are constantly plugged into social media, we lose touch with the silence necessary for self-reflection. We become consumed by the opinions of others, often losing sight of our own values and perspectives. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard warned of the dangers of being overly concerned with what others think and how it can lead to a fragmented sense of self. Taking regular breaks from social media allows us to step back from the noise and reconnect with ourselves. It creates space for silence, where we can evaluate our thoughts without external influences. In today's world, where social media often distorts reality and creates a false sense of urgency, silence becomes a way to ground ourselves in what truly matters. When we are not constantly absorbing content, we can focus on our own journey and personal growth. The eighth principle is to spend time in nature, where silence speaks louder than words. Nature has long been a source of inspiration for philosophers, from Henry David Thoreau to Lao Tzu, both of whom found deep wisdom in the natural world's quiet rhythms. Thoreau retreated to Walden Pond in search of simplicity, writing, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life." In today's hectic world, nature remains a sanctuary where we can escape the relentless noise and rediscover the profound silence of existence. Modern life often disconnects us from nature. We spend hours indoors, glued to screens, and lose the restorative benefits that time in nature provides. But when we step into the stillness of a forest or listen to the gentle sound of waves, we reconnect with the eternal silence that runs through all life. In this silence, we gain perspective. The problems that once seemed overwhelming shrink in the face of nature's vastness. Moreover, nature teaches us to be present. The quiet observation of a tree swaying in the breeze or the peaceful flow of a river reminds us that life does not need to be rushed. In the embrace of nature, we find the silence that calms our restless minds and rejuvenates our spirit. The ninth principle is to practice meditation, an ancient discipline rooted in silence. The philosopher Pythagoras believed that before students could learn, they must be silent and meditate for a time. He understood that silence was a precondition for true wisdom. In today's world, meditation is more relevant than ever. It provides a space to quiet the constant mental chatter that modern life breeds, offering us a moment of peace in the midst of chaos. Meditation, whether rooted in Buddhist practices or Stoic reflections, cultivates inner silence. It helps us detach from the distractions of daily life and the incessant pull of our thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, practiced a form of meditative reflection in his famous work, Meditation. He sought to rise above the noise of his duties, conflicts, and worries to find clarity and calm in silence. Today, meditation offers us a path to do the same. By setting aside time for quiet contemplation, we train our minds to be still. We learn to observe our thoughts without getting swept away by them. In silence, we discover a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us. The 10th principle is to choose your words wisely, a concept deeply rooted in both philosophical and spiritual traditions. Plato emphasized the importance of thoughtful dialogue, noting that wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something. In our modern age of endless communication, the ability to speak with intention and purpose is often overlooked. In today's world, words are abundant, but meaning is scarce. We are constantly encouraged to speak, to share our thoughts, to voice opinions on everything. Yet, silence allows us the space to consider our words carefully. Confucius urged people to be mindful of their speech, saying, "Silence is the friend of the wise." In silence, we find the clarity to distinguish between what needs to be said and what is best left unsaid. Choosing our words wisely is not just about speaking less, but about speaking more meaningfully. When we take the time to think before we speak, our words carry more weight. They have the power to heal, to inspire, and to bring people closer together. In contrast, careless words can create division, misunderstanding, and harm. By embracing silence before we speak, we align ourselves with wisdom and truth. So, in conclusion for these 5 concepts, silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a powerful tool for living a more intentional, thoughtful, and peaceful life. By limiting distractions, taking breaks from social media, spending time in nature, practicing meditation, and choosing our words wisely, we cultivate a silence that enriches our lives. In a world that often demands constant engagement, noise, and action, silence is a radical act of self-care. It allows us to regain our center, to reflect, and to engage with the world more deeply and authentically. As the philosophers have taught us, silence is not weakness but strength. It is a space where wisdom is born, where clarity arises, and where we can find peace in a world full of chaos. Let us then continue to embrace silence, not as an escape, but as a way to live more fully with intention and purpose. Thank you. As we continue our exploration of silence as a path to wisdom, clarity, and peace in the modern world. In the first 2 speeches, we discussed the power of mindful breathing, the importance of avoiding impulsive reactions, active listening, non-verbal communication, embracing pauses, limiting distractions, taking breaks from social media, spending time in nature, meditation, and choosing words wisely. These are all practices that help us harness the strength of silence to navigate the complexities of life today. Now, as we dive into the final 5 principles, we will uncover even deeper insights into how silence not only transforms our personal lives, but also shapes our interactions with others and our inner self. These next principles focus on cultivating silence to bring balance, reflection, and ultimately, peace into our modern world. The 11th principle is to stay in the present, a concept that aligns with mindfulness, and one that great philosophers and spiritual teachers have emphasized throughout history. Eckhart Tolle, in his influential book, The Power of Now, speaks about the transformative power of living in the present moment. He explains that the present is all we truly have. Yet in today's fast-paced world, our minds are constantly racing, reliving past experiences, worrying about the future, and engaging in a never-ending internal dialogue. By staying in the present, we create silence within ourselves. When we are fully present, our minds are not distracted by past regrets or future anxieties. This is where we find clarity and peace. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, also highlighted the importance of focusing on what we can control in the here and now. He taught that external events are beyond our power, but our thoughts, reactions, and the present moment are entirely within our grasp. In modern life, where we are pulled in many directions and our attention is constantly fragmented, silence comes through grounding ourselves in the present. When we are fully present, we appreciate the moment as it is, without the need for constant noise or activity. It is in this mindful stillness that we gain the power to act thoughtfully and wisely. The 12th principle is to avoid gossip or idle chatter, a discipline that both ancient and modern thinkers have cautioned against. Socrates once said, "Strong minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, weak minds discuss people." In today's world, filled with media, social platforms, and conversations that often veer toward the trivial, it is easy to get caught up in talking about others. But gossip serves no real purpose other than to spread negativity and sow discord. Great philosophers and religious leaders alike have spoken about the importance of uplifting our conversations. In the teachings of Buddha, right speech is one of the core aspects of the Eightfold Path, and it encourages speaking with intention and kindness. Idle chatter, which may seem harmless at first, often dilutes the quality of our relationships and the depth of our conversations. When we abstain from gossip, we create space for silence. This silence not only protects our inner peace, but also allows us to foster meaningful connections. Rather than filling the air with meaningless talk, we can choose to engage in discussions that matter, or we can choose silence, which often communicates more than words ever could. The 13th principle is to embrace silence as strength, a concept that is often misunderstood in a world that prizes constant communication and action. We are conditioned to believe that being vocal, assertive, and constantly visible is the only way to demonstrate strength or success. But as the philosopher Lao Tzu observed, silence is a source of great strength. In today's context, silence is often seen as passive or weak. However, the great minds of history teach us that silence can be more powerful than speech. Pythagoras, the ancient Greek philosopher, made his students practice silence for years before they could enter philosophical discourse. He knew that wisdom arises from reflection, not from constant talking. Silence allows us to gather our thoughts, process information, and develop measured responses. It gives us the strength to remain calm in the face of adversity and to respond with thoughtfulness instead of impulsiveness. This strength is particularly relevant in today's fast-paced world, where quick reactions are often valued over deep reflection. True strength lies in the ability to remain still, grounded, and thoughtful amidst the noise of life. The 14th principle is to use silence for reflection, a practice that is at the core of personal growth. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius were known for their daily reflection practices, using silence to contemplate their actions, values, and life's meaning. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius would write about his thoughts in solitude, examining his role in the world and how to live virtuously. In modern life, reflection has become a lost art. We are so focused on doing, on being productive and achieving, that we forget to pause and reflect on our actions and their consequences. But silence provides the space for introspection. It is in silence that we can evaluate our decisions, assess our growth, and realign ourselves with our deeper values. The philosopher Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Silence gives us the opportunity to examine our lives, to reflect on what we have learned, how we have grown, and where we are headed. Without reflection, we risk moving through life without intention or direction. In today's world, where we are constantly busy, setting aside time for silent reflection is a crucial practice for personal and spiritual development. The 15th and final principle is to develop inner peace, which is the ultimate goal of embracing silence. Inner peace is not just about external quiet. It is about creating calm and stillness within. As the ancient Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi said, happiness is the absence of the striving for happiness. Inner peace comes not from chasing external achievements or distractions, but from cultivating a deep sense of contentment within ourselves. In today's society, we are constantly told that happiness is found in external success, material wealth, and social validation. Yet this pursuit often leaves us feeling restless, anxious, and disconnected from our true selves. Inner peace, on the other hand, is a state of mind that can be nurtured through silence, meditation, and reflection. The Stoic philosopher Seneca taught that tranquility comes from within and that external circumstances have little bearing on our internal state. Developing inner peace means learning to remain calm in the face of challenges, to detach from the need for constant stimulation, and to find contentment in the simple moments of life. Silence is the gateway to this inner peace. It is in the quiet moments that we reconnect with ourselves, free from the noise of the world, and find a deep and lasting sense of calm. So, as we come to the end of this exploration, we see that silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is a powerful tool for living a more intentional, thoughtful, and peaceful life. By staying in the present, avoiding gossip and idle chatter, embracing silence as strength, using silence for reflection, and cultivating inner peace, we find that silence enriches every aspect of our existence. In today's noisy, fast-paced world, silence is a rare and precious gift. It allows us to reconnect with ourselves, think deeply, and act with wisdom. As the great philosophers and spiritual teachers have shown us, silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a source of strength, clarity, and true contentment. Let us embrace silence, not as an escape from the world, but as a path to living more fully, more mindfully, and more peacefully in the world. Thank you.